See, we are live Ji, in YouTube.
Okay, we can see it. 1 second. I'm also just checking it. Yes.
In few minutes we can start.
Yeah. Now, Aarti, exactly at 11 o'clock we'll start. I will tell you when to start. Aarti, you are able to unmute?
Yes, Ji, now I'm able to unmute myself. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bhargavi, Gayatri, keep yourselves also unmuted. Similarly, Tejaswini, keep yourself unmuted. Yes, Aarti, let's start.
Yes. We Indians always have a profound belief in Atiti Devo Bhava, as emphasized by the phrase, I welcome everyone present in this meeting wholeheartedly. I'm RTC, Audit Assistant at Guru and Ram LLP, currently pursuing my articleship. I completed my CA intermediate exams with an All India rank 49. I have profound interest in music and I have given various performances at various places. I cordially invite you all to this event of Nation First by Pride of Bharat in association with Aram IAS Academy and Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas and Disha Bharat. As has always, it is our orthodox tradition to invoke the Almighty at the beginning of any important event. Prayer purifies our mind and takes away all the negativity. What can be a better start to a program like this? Thus, let us invite Bhargavi Swaminathan and Gayatri Vishwanathan for the same, along with N. Srivatsan at the tabla. Bhargavi ji is currently pursuing her Masters in Music, Carnatic Vocal, from Delhi University. She has been learning since the age of 11. She started learning Carnatic music from Guru Sri Vishwanathan and she is currently a disciple of Guru Srimati Ambika Shrikant, Noida. She has been giving performances in and around Delhi NCR along with participating in VSS Bhajan Mandali since years. Gayatri ji is currently is pursuing her PhD in biotechnology from IIT Delhi. She has done her MTech from Shastra University, Thanjavur. She learned Carnatic music under the tutelage of late Sri V. Ramani, New Delhi, and is currently learning from Srimati Ambika Shrikant, Noida. She also has keen interest in Nama Sankirtanam and has been an active participant of VSS Bhajan Mandali, Noida. Srivatsan ji is currently pursuing a professional course in actuarial science from Institute of Actuaries of India. He has done his bachelor's in statistics from Delhi University. He started learning tabla at the age of 9 from Pandit Jitendra Bablu and has given many performances in Delhi and Noida. He has been a part of PG DAV College Classical Music Society and is actively associated with VSS Bhajan Mandali. Now, let us all join together for the divine prayer that awaits us.
Namaskaram. We would be presenting a Saraswati Abhang today, composed by Ramdas. Kadani vandili Saraswati kada kadani vandili kadani vandili Saraswati kada kadani vandili kadani vandili Saraswati kada kadani kadani vandili Saraswati kada kadani हम सासनी वेदमाता सासनी वेदमाता चतुरारणाची दुहिता हम सासनी वेदमाता चतुराननाची दुहिता शब्द ब्रह्मेची नीललता शब्द ब्रह्मेची नीललता कल्पतरू वादेवता कल्पतरू वादेवता कल्पतरू वादेवता
Thank you. The prayer was indeed very divine as expected. Now, there is a saying in Rig Veda, the first book ever known to the mankind, which depicts the Hinduism philosophy in a nutshell. Ano Badra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Let the knowledge come to us from every direction. Now, Tirukural is a precious gem among the classics, unique in the deliverance of the code of conduct to mankind to follow for all time to come, enshrining in it 1330 couplet under 1133 chapters, falling under three major divisions virtue, wealth, and love. It encompasses the whole gamut of human life. Let me now welcome S. Tejashwini from Chennai, who's very much interested in Carnatic music, Veena, Bhagavad Gita, drawing, and painting, and is also a student of Sri Vatsava Vivekananda Vidyalaya to recite the Tirukural.
Namaste all. Today I am going to say the Kural 540. உள்ளியது எய்தல் எளிதுமன் மற்றும்தான் உள்ளியது உள்ள பெரும். This Kural in Sanskrit is as follows. Chikishitma vismritya jagaru katayanisham tatprapyai yatamanena vanchitam sadhyate dhruvam. The meaning of this Kural is, in the journey to attain the goal, mental tiredness is a common deterrent. But however, one has to be firm in his determination, fueled by great thoughts and values, which enables one to reach the desired goal. This is effectively communicated in this Kural, which equates to the motivational saying of Swami Vivekananda. Arise, awake, and stop not till your goal is reached. உள்ளியது எய்தல் எளிதுமன் மற்றும்தான் உள்ளியது உள்ள பெரும். சிக்கீர்ஷித் விஸ்மிருத்ய ஜாகரு கதயானிஷம் தத்ப்ராப்தியை யதமானேன வாஞ்சிதம் சாத்யதே த்ருவம். Thank you.
Thank you, Tejashwini. That was fabulous. May I now request Ms. Harshita Mukundan from Hong Kong to give an introduction about Pride of Bharat, Aram IAS Academy, Shiksha Sanskriti Uttan Nyas, and Disha Bharat. Harshita Mukundan is a 14-year-old studying in class 10 at King George, which is an Indian baccalaureate school, Hong Kong. Yes, Harshita, you can go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. It is a great pleasure to introduce you all the details about Pride of Bharat, Aram IS Academy, Disha Bharat, and Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas, who are the organizers of today's event. Pride of Bharat is a global initiative to celebrate the remarkable work of Indians across various fields such as science, innovation, technology, and culture. It was created to bring together like-minded people interested in taking the prosperity and growth of our country. In the last 75 years, India has grown from a third world country to one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The Indian diaspora is making great progress in the field of technology and entrepreneurship, contributing significantly to global markets. Pride of Bharat aims to bring inspiring stories from all walks of life to the forefront, promote national integration through such forums, and inculcate a sense of pride and honor for our country in the students' minds. The umbrella of Pride of Bharat, we have various forums like Kural for Management, Hindu Genius, Tamil Genius, Telugu Genius, Kannada Genius, Samskrita Vani, etc. And also various technical forums like Bharat Tech Enabler Forum, etc. Pride of Bharat has been arranging motivational webinars under the theme Nation First through eminent personalities like Air Marshal Vardhaman, Lieutenant General Kadal, Sri Sridhar Vembu, Sri Vikrant Mahajan, and Sri Srihari Palangala for international students every quarter. Next, I will introduce Aram IS Academy to all of you. Aram IS Academy, formerly Times IS Academy, was started in 2011 to provide high-quality education for various competitive examinations like UPSC Civil Services Examinations, UPSC Forest Service Examination, and Group 1, Group 2 exams conducted by TNPSC, Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission. Aram IS Academy is known for imparting good quality of education for candidates aspiring for various competitive examinations at the national and state level. The Academy has produced remarkable results in a short span of time. For the past 3 years, Tamil Nadu toppers in the civil services exams are from Aram IAS Academy. Total selections so far include 59 students in Indian Administrative Service, 9 students in Indian Foreign Service, 37 in Indian Police Service, 78 in Indian Revenue Service, 92 in various Group A services like IRTS, IAS, etc., and 84 students got selected to Indian Foreign Service. Aram IAS Academy has centers in Chennai and Delhi. Let me now introduce Disha Bharat, which was founded in the year 2005 to impart values in the higher education domain with the motto Shilameva Paramadhanam. To equip students for life, Disha Bharat focuses on holistic character development of the youth, to enabling them to engage ethically in the personal and professional domains. The vision of Disha Bharat is transform youth to transform nation. This vision is realized through collaboration with many educational institutions for conducting value education workshops across the country. All programs, workshops, and events of Disha Bharat revolve around the theme Know Yourself, Know Your Country, and Know Your Culture. The programs are intended to develop values in the youth, namely personal, family, social, natural, and national and spiritual. The main objective is to enrich lives through values. All activities of Disha Bharat are aimed at instilling the values of Shraddha in our culture, Bhakti towards our motherland, and invoking the Adamya Shakti within to pass on the legacy of this eternal culture. Last but not the least, let me tell you more about Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas. Under the hegemony of the colonial system of education, we have been slowly losing the vast reservoir of knowledge contained in our knowledge tradition. It was realized that this reservoir should be rejuvenated and restored. This requires sustained efforts and a dedicated organizational setup. The Save Education movement, Shiksha Bachao Andolan, was initiated on 2nd July 2004 with the aim of restoring our knowledge tradition through education. This was followed by the formation of Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas in 2007. The aim of Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas is to provide an alternative in current educational practices. The alternative education practices that Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas dreams to establish would be rooted in national traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshita, for your elaborative introduction. Srinidhi Ramesh is a 15-year-old 10th grade student studying in Delhi Private School Sharjah and lives in Dubai. She has been learning Carnatic music for the past 10 years, and Bharatanatyam, drawing, blogging, and reading are her interests. She has hosted 2 shows as young RJ in an American-based Tamil radio and is interested in RJing and VJing. May I now request Ms. Srinidhi Ramesh, Dubai, to give the welcome address.
Good morning to everyone present here. I'm delighted to greet you all on this splendid day for this prestigious program on the nation's first being organized by Pride of Bharat Heritage, Aram IAS Academy, Disha Bharat, and Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas. It is my honor to welcome you all on behalf of Mr. Murali Subramaniam to a special inspirational talk on Arise, Awake, Achieve. Such an inspiring talk must be given by someone who has experienced the ups and downs of life. Am I right? Well, I am pleased to introduce our chief guest, whom we must all aspire to be like, Sh.P. Sivakumar, Managing Director at Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals. Mr. Sivakumar has over 3 decades of corporate experience and excellence in many industries, ranging from pharmaceuticals to healthcare, in which he has spent more than 25 years. It is an honor to have you here, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation to join us on this wonderful day. I would also like to welcome Dr. Indrani, our guest of honor, Sri Ravikumar, Chief Mentor of Pride of Bharat, Sri Karthikeyan, the founder of Aram IAS Academy, and Srimati Rekha Ramachandran, the head of Disha Bharat. I wholeheartedly welcome the principals, correspondents, and heads of various schools and colleges. I'm delighted to welcome the members of Pride of Bharat, Disha Bharat, and Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanya and Aram IAS Academy. And I welcome all the students from many colleges and schools present here with us today. I welcome Ms. Bhargavi Swaminathan and Ms. Gayatri Vishwanath with their prayer, along with Mr. Srivatsan accompanying them on the tabla. Ms. Tejaswani with the Tirukural, our anchor for today, Ms. Aarti Chandrasekhar, who will also be introducing our guest of honor, and Ms. Lara, who will be introducing our chief guest. I also welcome our Q&A moderator, Mr. Balasubramaniam, Mr. S.V. Biraj, who will be delivering the vote of thanks, and Ms. Sai Kripa with the Vande Mataram. I hope today's talk inspires all of you with ideas and discussion, enabling you to add to the greatness of our country. Thank you. And now, over to Ms. Aarti.
Thank you for the welcome address, Srinidhi. I take immense pleasure in introducing K. Indrani ji to you all. She is a retired professor and HOD of Mathematics, Nirmala College for Women, Coimbatore. She has served in higher education for more than 30 years. She was an active volunteer of Rashtriya Sevika Samiti for a good number of years. She is a part of Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas, Tamil Nadu from the beginning. She has been serving as state president of Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas, Tamil Nadu since 2017. She is an expert in Vedic mathematics. She has contributed tremendously to the organization as a field worker and traveled across India for attending workshops, conferences, and seminars organized by Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas. May I now request Srimati Indrani ji to give her speech. Ma'am, please.
Thank you very much for introducing me and giving me this opportunity. My humble pranams to all the organizers, Pride of Bharat Heritage, Aram IAS Academy, Disha Bharat, and Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas. It may look like 4 of the organizers, 4 different groups combined together organized this event, but truly speaking, or I believe that the backbone of this program is only Dr. Murali Subramanian. Am I correct, sir? Right from the beginning, you are working for it and you are today executing it. Now, Pride of Bharat Heritage, that is Dr. Murali Subramaniam ji has given the title for today's program, Arise, Awake and Achieve. அதாவது எழுமின் விழிமின் and achieve. அதை நம்ம achieve பண்ணணும். So, what to be achieved? That is the question. I think so far all the even that is all the programs, not programs, right from இறைவணக்கம் எல்லாருமே ரொம்ப நல்லா செஞ்சீங்க. I just wonder the medium that is you are conducting the program in English because various people from various countries are joining with you. But in Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas, we give importance only for education in mother tongue. Now, as I am from Tamil Nadu, I would like to say just a few words for you students about in Tamil. So, what to achieve? எப்போ நம்ம எதை நம்ம அச்சீவ் பண்ணணும்ன்றதுக்கு நமக்குன்னு ஒரு கோல் செட் பண்ணணும். அதுக்கே நம்மளுடைய வள்ளுவர் நம்ம கூட வந்துடுறாரு. உள்ளுவது எல்லாம் உயர் உள்ளல். நம்மளால இது முடியுமா, அது முடியாதா, அதற்கான திறமை நம்மிடம் இருக்கிறதா என்பதையெல்லாம் சோதித்து தெரிந்து கொண்டு நம்ம இது நமக்கு வேணும்னு நினைக்கிறத விட நியாயமாக ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு இதை நமக்கு வேணும், நாம் அதை அச்சீவ் பண்ணணும், அதை அடைய வேண்டும்னு முதல்ல நம்ம நினைச்சுக்கிட்டு அதற்காக நாம் உழைத்து கொண்டே இருந்தால், நேர்மையாக உழைத்து கொண்டே இருந்தால் இறைவன் நமக்கு அதை அடைய வேண்டிய வழிகளில் நம்மை அழைத்து செல்வான். இங்க நம்மளுடைய நாட்டுல கலைகள் 64 இசையும் பரதமும் நம்மை இறைவனிடம் அழைத்து செல்வன. அதாவது நம்மை அறியாமல் நம்மளுடைய சுற்றுப்புற சூழ்நிலைகளை மறந்து ஒரு தியானத்தில் இருப்பதை போன்ற ஒரு உணர்வுடன் நாம் இறைவனுடன் நம்மை அழைத்து செல்வது இசையும் பரதமும். அதை இன்றைய இறைவணக்கத்திலேயே நான் பார்த்தேன். ஆக அதையெல்லாம் உணர்ந்து அறிந்துதான் இன்றைய தலைமுறையில் நீங்கள் அனைவரும் அதையெல்லாம் நல்லா படிச்சிட்டு இருக்கிறீங்க. இங்க எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் அதை பெர்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுனது ரொம்ப அழகா செஞ்சீங்க. இப்போ இன்றைய தலைமுறையுடைய உங்களுடைய வாழ்க்கையை நீங்கள் திறம்பட நேர்த்தியாக அமைத்துக் கொள்ளணும். உங்கள் முன் பல பல விதமான பாதைகள் பறந்து விரிந்து உங்களை கவர்ந்து இழுத்தாலும் நீங்கள் செல்ல வேண்டிய பாதையை நீங்கள் தான் முடிவு செய்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். அதுக்கு நமக்கு இவங்க பிரைட் ஆஃப் பாரத் ஹெரிட்டேஜ்னு வச்சிருக்கிறதே நம்மளுடைய நாட்டில் எதெல்லாம் இருந்து இன்று நாம் அது இல்லாமல் தவிக்கிறோம். ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு பிச்சைக்காரன் கையில தங்க திருவோடு வச்சு பிச்சை எடுக்கிற கதைகள் எல்லாம் இங்க நம்ம நாட்டுல அத கதைகளாகவே வச்சிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். ஆனா நம்மை உணர்ந்து நாம் உழைக்க வேண்டும். இப்போ நம்மளுடைய நாட்டுல நிறைய அருளாளர்கள், பாரதி, இளங்கோ, வள்ளுவர், நாயன்மார்கள், ஆழ்வார்கள்னு லிஸ்ட் எடுத்தா இந்த அருளாளர்களுடைய லிஸ்டே பெரிய லிஸ்டா வரும். இப்ப அவங்க நமக்கு சொன்னதை எல்லாத்தையும் படிப்பதற்கு ஒரு தலைமுறை பத்தாது நமக்கு. ஆக நம்ம டெய்லி எதெல்லாம் நம்ம படிக்கிறோமோ, எதெல்லாம் நமக்கு தெரிய வருதோ அதன்படி அதெல்லாம் நம்மை கடவுளிடம் அழைத்து செல்லுமா. நாம் போக வேண்டிய தூரத்திற்கு அந்த ஒரு வேல்யூ பேஸ்டு லைஃப் நமக்கு வேணும். நான் ஒரு சின்ன கதையை மட்டும் உங்க கூட ஷேர் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். அதாவது இது கதை கிடையாது, வரலாற்றில் உள்ள ஒரு சின்ன நிகழ்வு. சிபி சக்கரவர்த்தி உங்களுக்கு தெரியுமா? சிபி சக்கரவர்த்தி என்பது ஒரு சோழ மன்னன். நமக்கு பாரதி சொல்லியிருக்கிற நம்ம படிச்சிருக்கிறோம், பகைவனுக்கு அருள்வாய் நன்னஞ்சே, பகைவனுக்கு அருள்வாய் நன்னஞ்சேன்னு நம்ம படிக்கிறோம். நம்ம பகைவர்களுடன் ஒரு பொறாமையே வச்சிட்டு இருந்தா நம்ம சுற்றி உள்ளவர்களிடம் அல்லது தூரத்தில் உள்ள எல்லார்கிட்டையும் நம்ம ஒரு அன்பு, ஒரு இதான ஒரு வாழ்க்கையை நம்ம மெயின்டைன் பண்ணும்போது ஒரு நேர்மறையான சக்தி நமக்கு கிடைக்கும். அப்படி இல்லாம நமக்கு எதிர்மறையான எண்ணங்கள் இருக்கும் வரை நம்மளுடைய முன்னேற்றமே ரொம்ப தடைப்படும். அதனாலதான் பகைவனுக்கு அருள்வாய் நன்னஞ்சே என்று பாரதி கூறுகிறார். அப்புறம் வள்ளுவர், கம்பன், இந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொருத்தருடைய இதுகளையும் நம்ம கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா படிக்கும் போதும் நமக்கு நம்மளுடைய நாட்டை பற்றிய பாரம்பரியம், பெருமைகள் எல்லாம் ரொம்ப நல்லா தெரியும். அதை தெரிய வரும். அதை நம்ம கடைபிடிக்கணும். இன்றைக்கு இந்த குழந்தைங்க எல்லாம் அவர்களுடைய திறமைகளை மிக அழகாக வெளிப்படுத்தினார்கள். நம்மளுடைய நாட்டில் அந்த சிபி சக்கரவர்த்தியை பத்தி நான் சொல்லணும்னு நினைச்சேன். அதாவது நம்மை சுற்றி இருக்கிற மனிதர்களுக்கு மட்டுமின்றி மற்றவர்களுடனும், அதாவது மற்ற மனிதர்கள் அல்லாத பறவை விலங்குகளுக்கும் நாம் நல்ல ஒரு அரசாங்கத்தை கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்பது நம்மளுடைய அறம் சார்ந்த ஒரு வாழ்க்கையில் வருவது. ஒரு புறாவை கருடன் துரத்தி கொண்டு வருகிறது. புறா அடைக்கலம்னு அந்த சிபி சக்கரவர்த்தி கிட்ட வந்துடுது. இப்ப கருடன் கேக்குறான், தன்னை யாராவது ஒரு அரசன் ஏதாவது ஒண்ணு முறையிட்டாலே அவர்களுக்கு உதவ வேண்டும் என்று நினைக்கிற நம்மளுடைய சமுதாயத்தில் புறா, பேச முடியாத ஒரு புறா, ஒரு அழகான வெள்ளை புறா சோழ மன்னனிடம் அடைக்கலம் போகிறது. இவனும் சரி, நாம் இதை காப்பாற்ற வேண்டும் என்று நினைக்கிறான். புறா ஏன் நம்ம கிட்ட வந்ததுன்ற நினைக்கும் போதே கழுகு பின்னாடி வருது. அது என்னுடைய இறை, அதை நீ இப்பொழுது தடுக்கிறாய், என்னிடம் அதை கொடுத்து விடு என்று கேட்கும் போது இவன் கொடுக்க மாட்டேன்றான். அப்ப என்னுடைய இறையை நீ அபகரித்து கொண்டாய்ன்னு கழுகு கேட்ட உடனே லாஜிக்கலி இவன் ஒன்னா கழுகுக்கு வேற ஏதாவது ஒரு இறையை கொடுக்கணும். ஆனா கழுகுக்கு அது என்ன நம்மள மாதிரி பட்டாணி அது இதுன்ற மாதிரிலாம் எதுவும் சாப்பிடாது. அதுக்கு இன்னொரு உயிரை கொடுக்கிற மனசு இல்லாம அதே நேரம் அது புறாவை எதிர்பார்த்து துரத்தி வந்தது. அந்த புறாவிற்கு நாம் இப்ப அடைக்கலம் கொடுக்கிறோம். அப்ப புறாவையும் காப்பாற்றணும், கழுகையும் சமாதானப்படுத்தணும்ன்றதுல அவன் தன்னுடைய துடையில் அவனுடைய கால்களில் ஒரு புறாவிற்கு சமமான எடையை அந்த ஃபிளஷை எடுத்து கழுகுக்கு கொடுக்கிறதாக ஒரு வரலாற்று நிகழ்வை நாம் நம்மளுடைய பாடங்களில் படிக்கிறோம். இது எதை காட்டுதுன்னா அந்த காலத்து அரசியல் எப்படி இருந்தது. ஒரு அரசனே இந்த அளவிற்கு உயிர்களுடன் அன்பாக இருக்கும் பொழுது இறைவனுடன் நாம் எவ்வளவு ஐக்கியமாக இருக்க வேண்டும். நம்ம இந்த பாட்டு தியானம் அது இதுன்னு அதுகளை எல்லாம் இந்த கலைகளை எல்லாம் நம்ம அதை ஒரு கலையாக ஒரு பாட்டுன்னு நினைச்சு செய்யாம இறைவனை எப்படி அடைய வேண்டும், அதற்கு உண்டான மனநிலையை இந்த கலைகள் நமக்கு எப்படி கொடுக்கின்றன என்ற அந்த ஒரு கண்ணோட்டத்தோட நம்ம படிக்கணும். இப்போ நாங்க எல்லாம் இருந்த காலத்தை விட இப்ப உங்களுக்கு பலவிதமான அச்சுறுத்தல்கள் இருக்கின்றன, நிறைய சொல்றாங்க. அந்த எதிர்மறையான விஷயங்களுக்குள்ள நான் இன்னைக்கு போக விரும்பல. அந்த அச்சுறுத்தல்களை எல்லாமும் மீறி நீங்க ஒரு வேல்யூ பேஸ்டு லைஃப உங்களுக்கு அமைச்சுக்கணும்னா நம்மளுடைய பாரம்பரியம் என்பது மிக 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 முக்கியம். அதை நான் உங்களுக்கு சொல்ல வேண்டியதில்லை, நீங்களே எல்லாரும் அதன் வழியாகத்தான் நடந்து வந்து கொண்டு இருக்கிறீர்கள். நீங்க என்னுடைய ஒரே ஒரு சின்ன கோரிக்கை மட்டும், இப்ப நீங்க இத்தனை பேர் இருக்கிறீங்க இல்லையா, நீங்க தனியா நடந்து வராதீங்க, உங்களுடன் உங்கள் மனப்பான்மையுடைய பலரையும் சேர்த்து அழைத்து கொண்டு வாருங்கள். அதுதான் என்னுடைய இன்றைய மெசேஜ். நம்ம ஒரு இடத்துல ஒரு பஸ் ஒரு ஸ்டாப்ல நிக்காம போகுதுன்னா நம்ம தனியா ரோட்ல நின்று அந்த பஸ்ஸை நிறுத்த முடியாது. அந்த இடத்துலயே நம்ம ஒரு 10 பேர் மனித சங்கிலியா நின்னா கூட அந்த பஸ் அங்க நிற்கும். அதுதான் அந்த ஒற்றுமை என்பது. சோ நம்ம தனித்தனியா இது இல்லாம எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து போராடுவோம். நம்மளுடைய வாழ்க்கையும் முன்னேற்றி கொண்டு நம்மளுடைய தேசத்தினுடைய நலனையும் முக்கியமாக நம்மளுடைய மனதில் வைத்து ப்ரைட் ஆஃப் பாரத் ஹெரிட்டேஜ், நேஷன் ஃபர்ஸ்ட். எப்பொழுதுமே நம்மளுடைய தேசம் நமக்கு முதல். நம்மை விட நாம் நம்மளுடைய தேசத்தை நேசிக்க வேண்டும். இப்போ வீரர்கள் எல்லாம் அதைத்தான் செஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க. ஆக சுயநலம் இல்லாமல் நாட்டு நலனிற்காக நாம் அனைவரும் பாடுபட வேண்டும். அந்த நாட்டு நலன் என்பது எல்லைப்புறத்தில் மட்டும் இல்ல, இப்ப நாடு பூராமே இதாதான் இருக்குது, மோசமாதான் இருக்குது. அதில் நாம் நம்முடன் இணைந்து செயல்படுபவர்களை இனம் கண்டு நாம் அனைவருமாக சேர்ந்து பாடுபட்டு பாரத அன்னையை அழகுபடுத்துவோம். இந்த வாய்ப்பை எனக்கு அளித்த அனைத்து நல்ல உள்ளங்களுக்கும் நன்றி. விடைபெறுகிறேன்.
Thank you, Ji. Your speech was very inspiring. It is now time for the introduction of our esteemed chief guest, Mr. P. Sivakumar Ji. Let us invite Lara Archit Rao, who is the youngest participant of this program, of 7 years of age, studying in class 3 in Oswald Academy Primary, Nairobi. She has been learning Carnatic music for the past 4 years. Yes, Lara, you can go ahead to introduce the chief guest, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Aarti. I am extremely happy and proud to introduce our chief guest, Sri Sivakumar, a veteran in the corporate field. Mr. P. Sivakumar is an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI, and the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India. He has experience spanning over 3 decades with 25 years in the healthcare domain. He has started his career as a systems analyst and acquired practical skills in designing computer-based applications for business and accounting solutions. He has worked in pharmaceuticals, textiles, NBFCs, automobiles, and healthcare. He joined Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals in New Delhi, a 750-bed hospital, and the first PPP in healthcare in the country in 1997, and is currently the managing director of the hospital since 2019. Also, he was on deputation between 2017 to 2019, heading as CEO in the Chennai region of Apollo Hospitals, and continues to be a mentor for the hospitals in the southern region. He was a student of Ramakrishna Mission and Vivekananda College. He loves to read fiction and spiritual books, travel within the country, music almost all kinds, and cooking are also his passion. He is happily married for 25 years. His wife, Dr. Pavitra, is the most important support in his life, who is a doctor of genetics and is pursuing her passion in creating eco-friendly nutrition products. She also works for Apollo Telemedicine Foundation as a researcher in public health. He has 2 children, a son and a daughter. Thank you. Over to Aarti.
Thank you, Lara. It was as sweet as it can be. Arise awake and stop not till the goal is reached is one of the popular quotations of Swami Vivekananda. The verse Arise awake and stop not till the goal is reached has its origin in Katha Upanishad. In Katha Upanishad, chapter 1.3.14, we see Yama suggesting Nachiketa, Uttishta Jagrat, Prapya Varani Bodhat, Shurasana Dhara Nishita, Duratyatyurgama, Patah Tat Kavayo Vadanti. It means, arise awake, approach the great and learn. Like the sharp edge of a razor is that path. So the wise say, hard to tread and difficult to cross. May I now request the esteemed chief guest to give the most awaited speech of this program. So please.
I begin with the salutation to God, the Almighty Father, the ocean of love, and whose nature is bliss unlimited. I also salute my late parents, without whose sacrifice I would be what I am today. And my most humble pranams to all my teachers for guiding me in various phases of my life. Namaste. Happy Saturday morning to all of you. Let me begin by thanking Pride of Bharat Heritage, Disha Bharat, RMIAS Academy, and Siksha Sanskriti Utanyas for giving me this opportunity to speak on a subject very close to my heart. My personal thanks to Ms. Visali Krishnan and Sri Murli Subramanian, who guided me on the format of this program and what they have done in the past, and also encouraged me to speak to you all today. May God bless you all. The speakers before me, Indrani ma'am, kindness pati நீங்க நிறைய சொன்னீங்க. I hope I'll be touching upon some of that today in my speech. Bhargavi and Gayatri, superb singing. Harshita, very sweet voice and very sweet introduction once again. And Tejaswini, you spoke about Tirukural, I think. Superb. I think may God bless you. And Tiruvalur is one of my very, very, very favorite saint. Also, Aarti, thanks for holding this program together. And Srinidhi, once again, to all of you, thank you very much. Jambudvipa, Al-Hind, Hindustan, Aryavarta, Bharat. All these are various names for India over the centuries of its existence. Our motherland has been described as the cradle of human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, and the great-grandmother of tradition. For us, India means just one thing, home, the birthplace of many religions, a symbol of unity in diversity, land of snake charmers, the largest democracy in the world, the upcoming superpower, the IT hub, and I don't think words are enough to describe our home. But what makes our country so special? Perhaps it's our large population and a great economy. Maybe our access to natural resources. Or is it our military might? Or the talent of our people? What is our true strength? If we introspect, we come across two things. The tangible strength is its spirituality. India has been through several ups and downs, politically and economically, with multiple invasions and a constant change in ruling dynasties and therefore ideologies. The India we witness today is a melting pot of various world culture entwined harmoniously. Through the invasions and the uncertainties, the spiritual thought process of the people remained deeply embedded in our collective consciousness. I don't think any other country in the world can claim to match our spiritual wisdom. The other strength, which is tangible, is its young population. India is home to 1/5 of the world's youth population. And these young people are driving a culture of innovation, on entrepreneurship, and diversity, which is expected to propel the country's economic growth. This can happen only if the youth is able to participate actively and productively in writing the success story. Today, we are exposed to the materialistic global culture. Many of you here represent our young generation. You receive Western education, but a traditional upbringing. School teaches you about the universe originating from a nebula of gases, but back at home, you are taught to worship God as the creator of the universe. There is a constant tussle between the freedom the West promises and the responsibilities the Indian upbringing enforces. It is not necessarily bad, it is interesting, but sometimes confusing. A lot of dilemma on what's wrong and what is right, good and bad, happiness and guilt. The West pushes you to go beyond limits, while the traditions create a safety net for you to fall back on. I believe you have been the curious caterpillar all this while. It's time to start growing your wings and fly. Let the rigor of life be your cocoon, the chrysalis that will help you shape your wings of freedom. While you do so, as elders and more experienced, I believe it is our moral duty to be the guiding angels, to steer our energy into fruitful occupations so that it does not dissipate into negative tendencies and self-doubt, to help orient yourself away from illusions and towards your true goals. I will share some practical pearls of wisdom to nudge you towards a spirited life. I'm sure you are sparing no effort in carving out a beautiful future for yourself. In our youth, we tend to have an idealistic vision of our future. We have a dream, a job, we have a dream job, a dream home, a dreamy destination, all that we want to travel, a dreamy wedding, financial independence, and whatnot. And why not? After all, that is what we have been told while growing up, to have a goal and then have a short-term goal, a mid-term goal, a long-term goal that add up to this overarching goal. So a degree from a prestigious institution, a MNC job, a successful entrepreneur, a fat paycheck, an understanding spouse, a nice house, and twice a year vacations. What's not to like, right? And if you perform decently, you get an increment and a good bonus, and then you earn yourself the tag settled. Some may want to start a business and become an entrepreneur of repute. This sums up our definition of a perfect life. But as you grow older, this will no longer be enough. So what really is success? What is our understanding of a successful life? There are several definitions from dictionaries across the world. The accomplishment of an aim or a purpose, favorable or a desired outcome, also the attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence. Something or someone that becomes popular, wealthy, has achieved a lot, isn't it? But I like what Sir Ratan Tata said in a closing keynote speech at a seminar in 2020, where he urged the startups and the youth to measure success by the difference one can make to humanity and the universe, and not by money value. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, defines success: carrying a meaningful life, serving others as much as possible, and at least not harming others. If an individual creates more suspicion, more fear, then that life is not successful. Did you notice the difference in objectivity of the definition? From my years of experience working with different people in different geographies and different backgrounds, I can vouch that success is just not about wealth creation or earning fame. It is important, but definitely not the end. I would say success or achievement is much more than definitions we can think of. To understand success, let us let go the label of success. Our educational system and institutions have largely been based on the objective idea of success, and therefore, sometimes we are obsessed with IQ as the defining metric for intelligence. Entrance tests are looked upon as definitive to one's career and growth, and all of us strive to get one of those defining stamps on our resumes. However, there are only so many seats these institutions offer, only so many positions a MNC or a government job offers. So, are the rest of the people who do not manage to sail through these tests, are they to be considered failures? And do they accomplish nothing in their life? We all know of enough examples of those who did not go to a reputed college or an institution, but are making waves across the globe. Einstein once said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Let me tell you a very short story here. This is from Panchatantra. There was once a Brahmin named Vishnu Swami. He had 4 children, none of whom possessed any great qualities. Vishnu Swami constantly tried knocking some sense into their heads, but he was not getting very far. He would often say, it is your learning alone that will stand by you throughout your life. And now is the time to gain knowledge. And after several attempts, finally, his words had some effect on the children, and they decided to travel different parts of the world to gain knowledge. And they promised each other that they will meet exactly a year later in a forest. And a year later, the 4 brothers came together, and each of them had acquired knowledge on different things, and they felt with their combined knowledge, they would become invincible. They each set out to demonstrate the skills. The first one said, I can put together these bones to form a skeleton of an animal they belong to, and proceeded to do so. The second one said, I can add flesh, muscles, organs, and fat to the bone structure, and proceeded to do so. The third, he said he can add blood and skin, and a fully formed lion was before them. Except that this lion was lifeless. It was looking like a stuffed animal. And the fourth son came bragging, what use your skill that puts together an animal which can neither move nor breathe? Behold, I will infuse life into it, and the lion will leap and roar in a jiffy. Within seconds, the lion sprang to life, leapt up with a roar, only to pounce upon the brothers and eat them up. I'm sure you all have heard this story before. While the 4 brothers acquired marvelous knowledge, they remained ignorant. Knowledge gained blindly without common sense and imagination is meaningless. If you do not know how to implement what you learned, they might as well be useless. Azim Premji, the chairman of Wipro, an IT giant, had not even completed his education when he started Wipro. He went to Stanford at the age of 21 years to pursue his bachelor's degree, but had to return due to the sudden demise of his father. He discontinued education and started Wipro. He went back to complete his degree almost 30 years later. He is one of the umpteen examples we have around us. The late Dhirubhai Ambani doesn't need any introduction. He had education only till 10th standard, but his intellect and sharpness, we all know what he has done. There are a number of other examples. These are not just 1 or 2 in a haystack, but there are a number of examples. If you look deep into your country's past, folklore, moral stories, you will notice the bias we have always had towards practical skill set as opposed to mere theoretical knowledge. Spiritual development as opposed to materialistic hoarding. Community as opposed to singularity. Swami Vivekananda is renowned for his influential and reformational work towards education of the society, particularly the youth, because he strongly believed that it is the power of the youth that can create an imperishable nation. He had seen modern India put tremendous emphasis on the scientific and mechanical ways of life, reducing man to the status of a machine. Moral and religious values were being diluted. According to him, humans are a compound of animality, humanity, and divinity. The aim of education, therefore, is to help humans grow from an animal to the divine state through self-effort, self-realization, and proper training. And that is what education must provide. To survive in the real world outside of the safe confines of your known environment, it's not enough just to have IQ. Emotional quotient, EQ, perseverance, and determination are important too. Therefore, it is very crucial that you visualize what you want to see in your future self as a human. What is it that you will hold most dear, even after a long time? What will you never want to give away? And once again, as Swami Vivekananda said, we are what our thoughts have made us. So take care about what you think. Words are secondary. Thoughts live, they travel far. What we whisper to ourselves has a great influence on our sense of self, and dictates the direction of our thoughts and actions. Therefore, I will say, let go of labels. I'm from Harvard. I am from IIM. I am an IITian. The problem with labeling is we only see fragments which have been defined by our own experience and perspectives of the outside world. By not labeling yourselves, we flow from experience to experience, emotion to emotion, without being chained down to any one way of thinking. This is important. And the best, you can be yourself. When you have come to a point where you don't have to impress anybody, your freedom begins. And look within yourself, you'll find everything you need. The universe will contrive to shower you with success and achievements if you care to look deeper and unleash the hidden potential in you. But how do we do this? So that brings me to the next part of this conversation on knowing ourselves and mastering ourselves. Lao Tzu, a very famous Chinese philosopher, said, knowing yourself is true wisdom and mastering yourself is true power. But what does it take to master oneself? Can we leave this to chance? I think no. We must consciously imbibe certain qualities and make a conscious effort towards this goal. Change the way we perceive the world and the way we react to it. We are so engrossed in our social and professional lives that we forget what lies within. And look into the mirror and see who really you are. If you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to anyone else. We use the Sanskrit word Swaraj in our daily vocabulary. Often we associate it with our Indian independence struggle. However, the word Swa means self, and Rajya means ruling over self, or Swarajya together means ruling over self, or self-mastery, where our mind always creates the right thoughts, independent of situations and people's behavior. But how can we ensure that? Can we ensure that at all? This doubt can arise. But my answer is yes, why not? And when you become Swaraj, king of self, it's nothing less than a miracle. And miracles happen if we work for it. We need to follow self-discipline to achieve self-mastery through a yogic lifestyle. Well, you don't have to retire to a jungle to become a yogi. You can be a yogi in your daily worldly life when you exhibit selfless intentions and respond to situations through innate sanskars of purity, peace, power, wisdom, love, and bliss. Arise and be awake during the Brahma Muhurat, meaning the most auspicious time of the day, usually the morning time, well before sunrise. This is the best time to meet yourself. Spend those precious moments in introspection and understand your life journey to find its purpose. Let me assure you that you will come up with really stunning answers. I implore you to try this at least 3 times a week. Osho puts it bluntly. What is your whole mind? It's just a turmoil. And because of this turmoil, you cannot see your own nature. You go on missing yourself. You meet everybody in the world, and yet you never meet yourself. Friends, let's try doing this early morning, at least 3 times a week as a mental workout. I'm sure you will take my word seriously. Your physical body needs a good, healthy breakfast to start the day. Your mind also needs a healthy emotional diet in some form. Spiritual study provides a wide variety of healthy emotional diet, no matter which faith you subscribe to. Start your day reading a few passages from a spiritual book which you like. Completely refrain from consuming any negative content from any platform. And please don't read newspapers first thing in the morning. It depletes energy. Remember, just like your mobile phone needs to have full charge to handle the various calls during the day and recharge during the day when the battery is getting discharged, your mind will have to be fully energized to deal with the daily life. Eat sattvic food, which is full of high energy, vibrations, not just nutrition. Eat the food in a peaceful state and mindfully make mealtime a divine experience. Tamasic food carries low energy vibrations of fear, anger, violence, and death. Be a karma yogi, that is, pay attention to every thought, word, and action, knowing that karma creates destiny. The karma of a yogi radiates with vibrations of acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, cooperation, and self respect. Control the traffic in the mind by pausing for a minute every hour. Meditate for a minute to rest and recharge. 1 minute meditation, not a 10-minute, 15-minute in a silent room or in a segregated space or a secluded space. You can do this as you work. Do you know that your mind processes almost 100 thoughts a minute and 99% of them are waste thoughts? Everyone knows efficiency improves when you eliminate waste. This I'm sure you are studying in your school, understanding it better in a college. And when you go to work, you are clearly told what is waste and how you have to use your time productively. Set a timer if you have to. You don't have to stop doing that what you are engaged in, but practice the mind pause and flush out waste every 1 hour. Don't carry it forward. Yog Nidra, or sleep of a yogi, should also be like a meditation, so that even when sleeping, one radiates the purest of emotions. You can write a daily journal to release the day's clutter from the mind. Meditate for 10 minutes before sleeping, and never sleep with a hangover of negative emotions, no matter what. It's simply not worth. And I have learned it. I learned it practically. Exercise self-restraint. While gadgets, mobile phones, they provide physical comfort, quick connectivity, great entertainment, but they cannot give you emotional comfort like happiness or self-respect. We must use them only as much as is necessary without being dependent on them. The next thing, minimalist living, that is freeing ourselves from both emotional and materialistic clutter. To buy things for comfort or utility is fine, but shopping to seek happiness is an addiction. Simple living creates simplicity in mind. And finally, build and exhibit what we call as seva bhav by rendering selfless service through charity or through words of wisdom. You can consciously create thoughts of healing and happiness for the whole planet. And we have a beautiful sloka which ends, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Try incorporating the above practices into your daily routine and see the wonders happening in your life. While all the above are available in greater detail in various scriptures, particularly the Bhagavad Gita, I am grateful to Rajyogini, Sister Shivani of the Brahma Kumaris, whose grace and kindness translated these verses for me to consume and digest easily. I don't claim to be perfect. I'm nowhere near perfection. I'm probably 40% pass. But let me tell you, the journey has been incredible. Rumi says, why do you live in prison when the door is so wide open? Why do we blindly follow the tamasic when we have knowledge of the sattvic? Is it because we are ignorant, or is it because the basic human nature is to resist change? Let me elaborate this a bit. We are rigorously trained to achieve discipline by adhering to defined rules and regulations, be it our personal or professional life. Regulations give us a semblance of control and make it easy for our brain to comprehend and compartmentalize our day-to-day living. The brain is a very smart organ. It strives to optimize energy energy consumption by weaving patterns and reactions together so that the precious time and energy is not wasted in figuring out what is to be done. For example, I think the easiest example would be when you cross a road, you don't calculate the speed of an oncoming vehicle or measure the distance that you need to cover. You do this instinctively, isn't it? This has now been hard-coded into our machinery through years of evolution. Served us well when the primary concern was food safety and reproduction. Now that we have moved higher up in the hierarchy of needs towards self-actualization, this hard-coded software causes the biggest hindrance. Our brain does not like to change its reaction to patterns. Much to our brain's chagrin, change is inevitable. We must learn to embrace it. When COVID caused chaos and disrupted life, we found a way around, isn't it? Schools and exams moved online. Necessities of life, healthcare, education, entertainment, you name it, everything moved online. Including this talk today is online and with a swiftness that was never known in the Indian ecosystem. Old and young, everyone found their way around the new normal. So let's talk about embracing change. We have always been told embrace the change. New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. Change is key to life. Despite change being seemingly painful, it is forever necessary. Every change is important. A new beginning, a new direction, a new opportunity, a new life, and sometimes a new you. We must accept that change is often better. Even if it is not, it is different. There will be changes that affect our physical appearance, emotional makeup, and thinking patterns. These are needed to make us ready physiologically and psychologically. Life will not always go as per plan A, plan B, plan C. There will be hiccups or even a major U-turn. What matters there then is perseverance. Like Confucius said, it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you don't stop. There is a profound quote by Osho on change and the courage to undergo change. He says, before entering the sea, he takes the example of a river and talks about a river that before it enters the sea, it trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to lose herself forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the leap of faith and enter the ocean, because only then that fear will disappear. Because that's where the river will know that it is not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean itself. There's a short story I would like to narrate here of none other than Sudha Murthy. All of you know who Sudha Murthy is. A phenomenal academic performer, a gold medalist, an engineer. And when she had completed her graduation, she applied for a job in telco. Now it's called Tata Motors. It used to be called telco before. And she fitted into every criteria in the advertisement asked for. But the last line in that advertisement said, women need not apply. And Sudha Murthy was really very heartbroken. But she didn't kind of let her sadness take over. She wrote a beautiful letter to the chairman of the Tata Group, Sri J.R.D. Tata himself. And within 10 days, she got a response from telco. And later on, she was hired. And do you know, she was the first female engineer at the company. This transition would not have been easy at all for the company and the lady, isn't it? Yet it paved way for thousands of women engineers and a more inclusive company culture. The letter she wrote against discrimination was the turning point in her life. She broke barriers and changed her story, and the story of countless other women inspired by her. The will to accept challenge and adapt lies in one's own strength. However difficult life may seem, there is always something good you can succeed at. All you need to do is to have hope and faith that a higher power is looking out for you. There will be changes, some good, some bad, but remember, as Swami Vivekananda said, in a day when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure that you are traveling the wrong path. Quoting Genesis from Bible, humans are endowed with free will. God created humans as in his own image. And like our creator, we have free will. God dignifies us with free will, the power to make decisions of our own, rather than having God or fate predetermine what we do. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do with a curveball life throws at you. Do you want to wallow in self-pity and hatred, or do you want to go on with an all-consuming desire to accomplish that which you consider it as right? The words of Ruskin Bond, bad times are good times to prepare for better times. And it is entirely possible The free will exercised with the best of intentions will throw up an unpleasant or an unexpected outcome. At precisely that moment, the faith in a higher power helps you navigate through the storm. There is a beautiful anecdote from the Akbar Birbal story. I'm sure all of you would know it, but still I would narrate it here because it's relevant. Akbar was withering in pain one day after an unfortunate accident that diced his finger off. His ministers were buttering him up and hailing him for his greatness, while Birbal simply stated, "Jo hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai." Whatever happens, happens for the good. Akbar was offended and instantly dismissed Birbal. And Birbal thought to himself, "Jo hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai," and decided to use the few days off to take his family out on a vacation. In the meanwhile, Akbar had substituted Birbal with another minister, and one day he went on a deer hunt with a small band of army. And in the excitement of that hunt, he didn't realize that he had separated from the army of soldiers and ended up being captured by some tribesmen who were happy that they could get somebody to sacrifice to their deity. Just before they were to offer him up as a sacrifice, and one of the tribesmen noticed the cut in his finger and decided that a tampered body could not be used as a sacrifice for their precious god. And so they let him free. Akbar was relieved but shaken by the event, and all Akbar could think at that time was the words Birbal had uttered, "Jo hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai." On arriving safely back in the palace, he immediately summoned Birbal and appointed him back. You may not realize it immediately, but when things settle down and you have the benefit of retrospection, you will perhaps find yourself thanking God or whichever higher power you believe in for the earlier troubled situation. If you haven't reached this stage yet, your story has not ended. There is this famous saying, everything will be okay in the end. And if it is not okay, it's not the end. And we heard it in a movie recently, Picture Abhi Baki Hai, Mere Dost. The thought that the universe or a higher power is looking out for you and is guiding you through all the trouble invokes a deep sense of gratitude and security in oneself. I'm not recommending that religion or God is the only way to attain this feeling, but traditionally, being part of the Indian culture, we tend to view this higher power as God. It would be a positive orb of guiding energy, anything that gives you the strength to go on. Mother Teresa often said that whenever she wanted to do good work, God sent material means as help from various quarters. God sees to our needs. However, it's also important for us to know what to let go and when to let go and what to hold on. Handling success is tricky as handling failure, and both require humility. It is important to be humble enough to owe your success to the environment, your friends, your family, peers, and the God himself. It is equally important to humbly accept defeat and move on. And the world is won by those who let go. There is a beautiful metaphor for unconditional kindness and humility that we can learn from water. The river flows across the land and nurtures all things it comes across. Plants, animals, humans, everyone benefit from the water of the river. But once its work is done, the river moves on without waiting for recognition or praise. Water is the softest and the most yielding substance. We all know that. Yet, nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and the rigid. That is the strength of humility and self-awareness. There was once a sage called Udanka in the times of Mahabharata. He was very reclusive sage and knew very little of the ongoings of the world, but he was very knowledgeable. He happened to meet Lord Krishna one day, and Lord Krishna was returning from the Mahabharata war and was going towards Dwarka. And sage Udanka expressed that he wonders about a lot in search of knowledge, but sometimes is so lost that he yearns even for water. He wished to be granted a boon that he could get water whenever he wanted, and Lord Krishna obliged. And a few days later, the sage was drifting through the forest when he grew very thirsty and decided to test the boon that he had received. A few minutes later, a hunter approached the sage and offered him some water in a flask made of deer skin. The sage thought to himself, how can I take water from this dirty, uneducated hunter and then refuse? The hunter persisted and offered it 3 more times, but the sage refused. After a while, Lord Krishna himself appeared. Then the sage was happy to see him, greeted him, and told him of his poor luck in finding water. And Lord Krishna had this to say to the sage. He said, I met Lord Indra and told him to give you the nectar. Though Lord Indra refused, I insisted that enlightened people such as you must be offered nectar. Therefore, he came in the form of a hunter to offer you some nectar so that you may become immortal. But you judged him for his appearance, his community and profession, and regarded him to be your inferior, although he offered you a hand in your time of need. I respected you as an enlightened man, but you proved me wrong by behaving as ordinarily as any common man. With these words, Lord Krishna disappeared. Humility is one of the most underrated traits. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. And Sant Kabir says, Bura jo dekha mein chala, bura na mila koi. Jo dil koja apna, mujhse bura na koi. In search of flaws in others, I couldn't find one. But when I looked within myself, I couldn't find anyone as flawed as me. Thus, before judging anyone, looking within oneself is imperative. Do not ever be proud of your opulence, as in the end, you shall be under dirt, and what will be left behind is the growing grass above you. So be humble. We all know Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the missile man of India, often lovingly referred to as the people's president. He had lots of accolades and accomplishments, but what set him apart was his humility and simplicity. You cannot fake or pretend to have it. It must come from within. I want to refer to one small incident in Dr. Kalam's life. When Dr. Kalam was invited as a chief guest at a convocation ceremony in Varanasi, IIT, the stage had 5 chairs. The middle one was being the biggest, which was reserved for him. And when Dr. Kalam was escorted to the middle chair, he politely refused to sit on it and asked the vice chancellor to sit instead. And when the vice chancellors refused out of respect for the president, another chair of the same size was brought in. An Indian proverb says, they who give have all things. They who give have all things. They who withhold have nothing. Back in 1997, 25 years ago, I had appeared for an interview. This is my own story. I had appeared for an interview at Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals, Delhi, for the position of head of finance. I had an interaction with the managing director, Mr. Chacko, who was also a chartered accountant, and it was a grueling 2-hour interview. And at the end of it, I was asked to wait. I traveled from Chennai to Delhi to take this interview at that time. And I presumed that he asked me to wait so that he could tell his assistants to process my travel expenses, which was quite substantial. It was almost equivalent to 1 month's salary of mine at that time. And in fact, I was not even sure whether I should work in a hospital, even if selected. And I was just waiting for the reimbursement to come through, and so that I can get back to Chennai. And suddenly, I was ushered in to meet Dr. Pratap Reddy, the chairman of the Apollo Hospitals Group. As I entered his office, I was a bit apprehensive, and because I didn't know much about healthcare at that moment. And as I entered Dr. Reddy's office, he stood up to greet me with the words, "Welcome, my son." Just 4 months prior to this unexpected meeting with him, I had lost my father. And I'm sure Mr. Chacko, with whom I had the grueling 2-hour interview, had briefed Dr. Reddy about my personal as well as my professional life. And Dr. Reddy is an embodiment of kindness. And he knew exactly how to make me feel comfortable. Those words spoken by Dr. Reddy and the fact he stood up to greet a person half his age, I think that day my decision was sealed that if I get an offer, I'll take it no matter what. He's a humble man, on the ground always. He's considered as father of modern healthcare in India. And today he leads the largest healthcare conglomerate with a market capitalization of more than 60,000 crores. And he started with one small hospital in Chennai. A bigger seat, a bigger house, a bigger car is not testimony to your success. Your strength of character, integrity, generosity, or the true testament of your worth. Your high status doesn't matter because it is like the tall tree of dates, which does not give shade to the birds or travelers. Its fruits are far off, you can't even reach it. Similarly, your high status, which does not benefit others, the community, it's of no use. India has many examples of altruism, particularly during the struggle for independence, from Shahid Bhagat Singh to V. Savarkar to Lal Bahadur Shastri, Sri Vallabhbhai Patel. There are countless examples we all know, but I dare say none of us probably relate to them. We hold them proudly as honored heroes, not mere men who led our historic battle for sovereignty. We cannot imagine living a life like they did, replete with struggle and uncountable horrors of jail, torture, and death, and all for the greater good of the masses. If we have a home for ourselves, 3 square meals a day, and access to education, we are more privileged than 90% of the country. Yes, we'll still have inequalities, caste, gender, age, income strata, whatnot. But at the end of the day, we all have unlimited access to basics, food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, while 15.5% of our brothers, that is about 21 crores, do not get enough food. We must acknowledge our unearned privilege in the society and humbly accept the responsibility it entails. There is a famous quote which we all should always remember. If I am more fortunate than others, I need to build a longer table, not a taller fence. And don't forget small things. Small things matter. Little drops of water make the mighty ocean. A privileged Indian who quit his privileged life to turn around an entire industry that serves as a major economic contributor even today, the late Dr. Verghese Kurian, popularly known as the milkman of India. He was born to an affluent Syrian Christian family and lived a life of opulence. He completed his master's from USA on government scholarship, and in return, he served in Anand, Gujarat in the dairy division for government. He found that the farmers were being exploited by the milk distributors and the entire region was being controlled by a shrewd businessman. And there was a leader, Tribhuvan Das Patel, who was trying very hard to unite the farmers to form a cooperative movement against this exploitation. Dr. Kurian left his government job and joined forces with Mr. Patel to start the milk cooperative movement, which we now know as Amul. He brought about the white revolution of India and turned the country from a milk deficient country to the largest producer of milk in the world. Today, India accounts for 22% of global milk production, followed by USA, China, Pakistan, and Brazil. Dr. Kurian did not know the impact he was going to create. He did what he thought was right, and the kindness unfolded itself into a revolution. And someone wise said, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. The ripple effect of small things is extraordinary. We often think what will happen if I make a change. I am minuscule. And the best example is when we think about sustainability. We often think what change is going to come about if I switch off my car at the signal for 1 minute. 100 other cars are anyway creating that pollution. What damage will happen if I use just one plastic straw? 50 other people are anyway going to use it. What change will 5 sheets of printouts make? The paper mill is anyway going to cut down trees. And you work in a hospital, you'll realize what change one person can make. How can one nurse, one doctor, one attendant, one decision determines the trajectory of 6 people and by extension 100 people. You will see it in the eyes of the kin for whom that one person is everything. It may be the family's breadwinner or someone's last kin or someone's future. You will realize no act is small or big. Voltaire, a French writer, said, with great power comes great responsibility. In the more recent times, you would have heard Spider-Man's Uncle Ben say the same, taking the same reference. Even on a small scale, if you can do something, make sure you do it for the good of others. You don't have to be a superhero. Small actions make a great impact on the world. I spent 25 years working for Apollo hospitals. I've experienced the noblest profession both as an insider and an outsider. I have witnessed many upheavals in my career worked hard to navigate through tough times, but COVID has by far been the biggest teacher, both professionally and socially. When the first COVID wave hit the country, there was so much stigma attached with the disease. People who contracted COVID were treated as outcasts, even by their own families sometimes. By the time the second wave hit the nation, almost every household had been greatly impacted. Some had even experienced multiple losses. There was an oxygen crisis during the second wave. People held their loved ones as they gasped, unable to breathe, and lost their lives in the embrace. COVID taught us a massive lesson in humanity. We often refer to the Western hospitals, European, American hospitals, as the gold standard for healthcare. We laugh at the staggeringly poor healthcare infrastructure in India. Yet when COVID hit, we emerged on the top, while the American and the European infrastructure crumbled beneath its weight. And why do you think that happened? It's not that we had more ventilators or more intensive care beds or more doctors than them. As a healthcare organization, we did a lot of things as guided by our doctors, by the government. As individuals, we tried to infuse humanity and empathy into the system when it felt like the world had completely washed its hands off. It's the human aspect of a culture that worked the magic. Our doctors, nurses, paramedical staff went on rounds clad in COVID-safe personal protective equipment, while other hospitals used e-monitoring systems to watch their patients from afar for the fear of contracting COVID. Despite not being a doctor, I and my team made sure to go on rounds across the COVID wards with the intent to instill hope in patients and tell them that their return to home was being eagerly awaited by their families. We made sure to meet and thank each of our medical staff for sacrificing their family priorities for the greater good. Every day we had a new challenge, and every day we would find a novel way to circumvent them. I'm really proud to have worked with a team in my hospital, and I'm sure many people like me are very proud that they worked in a hospital at that time and truly turned out a miracle. But what motivated them? It's not money, not fame, not success. It was pure kindness and compassion. And it's the upbringing and culture at work that instilled in them the value of extending kindness and compassion to all. When we were going through the COVID crisis, one of our nursing staff in Guwahati read about a practice where ICU nurses fill two gloves with warm water and tie them around the hands of ventilated patients in a clasping position. They did this particularly for patients who were unconscious and struggling to make it through. The idea was to allay the anxiety of these patients who were away from their loving family, struggling to heal in an isolated ward, surrounded by strange equipment, and there exists a connection between physiological and the psychological status of a human body. In some of their patients, an improvement was noticed and the vital parameters improved. Encouraged, the nurses then started talking, sharing positive messages with the patients. It was a very tiny thing to do. The nurses did not have to do it at all. There was no protocol, no science, no compulsion to do all this. But they did it out of compassion and empathy for a fellow human. They did what they could have done for their own family. You may think, why does it matter to be compassionate to strangers? It is because underlying all our aspirations and dreams is our basic need to be part of the social structure, be liked and accepted for what we are. Everyone around us expects the same from the society, and in the end, the society is comprised of us as individuals. Everyone desires to have a support system that takes care of their happiness and motivation and facilitates their growth and development. Whether it be school, office, a sports class, or a hobby class, all of us seek a positive and supporting environment that motivates us to do our best. A lot of research and analysis has gone into this field. Research has shown that productivity increased due to the relationship and supportive groups where each employee work had a significant effect on the team's output. Relationships are the most influential factor in the productivity. Same goes for any environment. Your spouse, your children, friends, parents, siblings, everyone wants and deserves a positive environment to reach their full potential. And during COVID, when the medical staff on duty donned their protective suits and confined themselves for a 12-hour duty in a COVID ward, It was often lonely. After duty hours, they were expected to self-isolate for another 12 hours. And all they had for company were each other and very sick dying patients. It was a perfect recipe for fatigue and depression. We couldn't take away that loneliness and fatigue, but we could extend a hand of support. We tried to bring in some cheer into their lives, encourage them by being present by their sides as they treated patients, made small joys available for them, a cup of hot tea, snacks, some food, some joke to share, and encourage them to take leaves when the country unlocked, appreciated their good work through recognition programs. This is all that compassion is about. When one practices compassion, they gain great insight into themselves. Kindness and compassion for others will always win in the end. And today we call it human relation management. But our great gurus, the ancient prophets, have always taught us this. Compassion is the prerogative of the wise. Only someone who has transcended the mundane can aim to achieve self-actualization. The Bhagavad Gita beautifully elaborates the evolution of human needs through their life. The first and foremost is tamas guna, where an individual seeks basic requirements for life like food, shelter, clothing. And when one has achieved this, they transcend into rajas guna, where the individual wants to save money, look for security, and strive for better and better. And this is an aspirational stage. And after that, one transcends into Sitaparanya Purusha stage, where one aspires for self-actualization. This is when one truly distances from the materialistic pleasures and seeks the truth within. I dare say most of us are still in the Rajas Guna stage, where we are trying to build a security for our future and get better from where we are. And the journey is to move towards self-actualization. Everyone wants to succeed and get fame and recognition. No one wants to fail. And yet you are bound to face failure somewhere in your life. And are you prepared for it? In Bhagavad Gita, once again, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna about what his attitude should be towards the events in life and said, fight for the sake of duty, treating alike happiness and distress, loss and gain, victory and defeat. Fulfilling your responsibilities in this way, you will never incur sin. In Ramayana, when Ram is told by his father, Dasaratha, that he is to be crowned king, he quietly agrees. And when his mother, the Queen Kaikeyi, tells him to go to the forest, he willingly submits. He is neither happy at the prospect of becoming a king and rejoiced, nor he was saddened when he thought about his impending life in exile. He treated both joy and sorrow alike, showing us precisely that we must not respond emotionally to what happens in our lives. It's not about making people happy. It should be about maintaining and restoring team harmony, while keeping in mind the most optimal output for greater good. And definitely Ram's actions were not about making his father happy, but about maintaining and restoring peace in the kingdom for the greater good of his subjects. Often multidisciplinary or heterogeneous groups have a fundamental mistrust, and this happens more often in a college setting or in a work setting. And there is a mistrust operating between them, and which results in some kind of a win-lose situation. As a successful leader, one of the first traits you will need to exhibit is finding and establishing a win-win situation to resolve conflict. However, the catch here should be that you should not end up with a people-pleasing tactic, but it should benefit the organization as a whole. And how do you communicate your thoughts as a leader? I would take an example from Sant Kabir. ऐसे वाणी बोलिए मन का आपा खोए, अपना तन शीतल करे, औरों को सुख होए. Meaning, instead of being arrogant, be humble and speak kindly to others. Spreading happiness using words is what matters the most. And mindful communication comes in here, both in written mediums like emails, social media, and in person. I think this is important. It's one of the basic skills that you learn very early on in your life and serves you well. And Rumi says, raise your words, not voice. It is rain that grows flowers and not thunder. And to practice the art of communication and be truly calm, such that our words and our demeanor both exhibit the same tranquility and peace, we need to begin with training our mind. And I strongly recommend today's audience to watch the videos of Dandapani on YouTube. And Dandapani is a Hindu priest and a motivational speaker on self-development. After graduating from IIT in Mumbai with a degree in electrical engineering, he left it all to become a Hindu monk under the guidance of a spiritual leader. And the content, I assure you, is both engrossing and enriching. And I won't have enough time to narrate all the things that he said, but I'll still quote one small piece here. Dandapani says that the modern society is trained to practice distraction 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. We actively practice distraction. And as per the law of practice, we become good at whatever we practice. And then we wonder, why are we not good at the fine art of concentration? The art of concentration is keeping awareness on one thing for an extended period of time by doing one thing at a time and keep bringing awareness back into it. Humans are never meant to multitask. Our brains are made to focus on one task at a time. With the modern times, we tend to steer away from our inner end makeup and try to spread our consciousness across various areas. We take some seemingly unimportant calls during an important meeting. And we cannot have dinner without Netflix. The entire week, we wait for the weekend. And the entire weekend, we spend preparing for the next week. We have forgotten to live in the present. Human life is all about balance. So slow down, reflect, meditate. Let go of the past and let go of the future. Live in this moment in its entirety. It is important that we segregate and compartmentalize our thoughts, the positive and the negative, and discard all that is creating agony for us. Get rid of the garbage. Almost every religion in the world emphasizes the need to stop and look within, to find and eliminate the root cause of agony. While you take care of your responsibilities, remember to prioritize your life and focus on what is important. The Vedas elaborate the 4 phases in life of a person: Brahmacharya, Grihasthashram, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. The essence is what you prioritize and when. The secret to a beautiful, harmonious life is to be aware of the shift and allocate priorities accordingly. Lastly, the most important trait we must cultivate to accomplish all the above is to develop courage. And to develop courage means courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what is right even in the presence of fear. I'm sure you have heard this poem. And courage can come in various forms. It can be what our armed forces exhibit day in and day out at the border. It can be your household help who works hard to feed their kids. It could be the disabled auto driver who chose to drive an auto rather than live off government subsidy. It could be the mental courage exhibited by a doctor when he carries out the 4th round of the day at 12 midnight. I'll particularly encourage the audience to read about Major General Ian Cardozo and Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad for inspiration. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up to your enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Success is not final. Failure is not final. It is the courage to continue that counts. And quoting Maulana Azad, don't be satisfied with stories how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth, and that takes courage. The future is uncertain. Despite careful planning, things go wrong. But even when darkness falls, you can trust that there is a higher power in charge of your future. I cannot stress that enough. That antidote to fear of the future in an ever-changing world is trust in an unchanging God. Quoting from Abdul Kalam's speech, what is needed in India today is the destruction of the defeatist spirit. We need a spirit of victory, a spirit that will carry us to a rightful place under the sun, a spirit which will recognize that we are inheritors of a proud civilization, are entitled to a rightful place in this planet. Children and the youth who are listening into this program today, you are awesome. You can make anything happen if you dream big and work hard and believe in goodness. In the end, nothing worthwhile can be achieved if you are not at peace with yourself. Be kind, be happy and grateful. To be able to laugh and be merciful are the only things that make humans better than bees. This was told by Ruskin Bond. What you seek is seeking you. If you are here today, listening to this, participating in this conversation, do not brush it away as a mere chance. It was meant to be. You were, in however a small form may be, seeking this knowledge. Follow the path of truth and selfless kindness and start it today. Take one step at a time, and one day you will say, If the foot of the trees were not tied to earth, they would be pursuing me. For I have blossomed so much, I am the envy of the gardens. Maulana Azad once again said this. 10 things I want to leave with you as mantra for managing life, so that the youth may continue to lead our country towards excellence and brilliance. And this, most of it is from my own practical experience. Learn for the sake of learning, not for the sake of knowledge, not for what it must fetch you later, right? So learn for the sake of learning and for the sake of knowing it, not for what it must fetch you later. True knowledge begets humility. Humility begets worthiness. Worthiness creates enrichment, which leads to right conduct, and right conduct brings contentment. To be content is to be happy with what you have. To be happy with what you have is being rich. You have the right to work, to do your karma, but never to the fruit of the work. The more you know yourself, the more patience you have for what you see in others. Kindness costs nothing, but means everything. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. Be flexible like water. It can change as per the shape it is poured into without changing what it is at its core. Faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of faith is to see what you believe. Have faith in goodness. Make peace with what you cannot change. Make peace with the past if there had been some unfortunate incident. Gather inner strength and inner peace so that no one has the power to shake you. Integrity is a seed for achievement. Develop integrity and kindness as your priority. You are a generation that has immense potential and access to immense knowledge. What you do with it depends on the inherent nature of you consciously, how much you develop. Make wise use of this opportunity. Let us pledge to take our country to its rightful place. Let us unbind our self-imposed chains of ignorance and allow for evolution of an egalitarian society fit for us and our next generation. Let us take back our rightful place as the golden bird, Sone ke Chidiya, and I'm very optimistic that it is time for resurgence of India too. I would like to thank all the institutions who are part of this event and my love and best wishes to all the students who gave their valuable time to tune in today. I'd also like to thank Dr. Raj Prabha. You may not know her. She works with me in my office, who patiently helped me putting this speech together and getting me the references, that I need to make. And it was truly wonderful working with her. But the last and not the least, and my gratitude is to my wife, Dr. Pavitra, who has sacrificed a lot to help me achieve my dreams and made my life worthwhile. I've used several references online, offline, and the audience, if they are interested, I'll be very happy to share some of it so that you can read further. I'll close with Vande Mataram and Jai Hind, and thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very thought-provoking speech, your comparisons of our life with that of a butterfly, and your opinion on what success means. Made us reflect upon what our life objectives and life goals have to be. Thank you also for all your thoughts on self-awareness. We are extremely grateful for your thoughtful insights, and I'm very sure that your speech is a game changer in everybody's life who are attending this meeting. Thank you for your time for
Thank
this
you.
meeting. And we are extremely grateful to Pride of Bharat for having made this arrangement of your speech so that we understand what we do and what we have to do. It is now time for the QA session, question and answer session. We request all the participants to raise your question in the chat box of both Zoom meeting and YouTube. There is an allocated time of 30 minutes where 10 to 15 questions can be answered. You may also send your feedback to us through the chat box in Zoom meeting and YouTube. May I now invite Mr. Balasubramaniam ji, Chennai, to moderate the question and answer session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Arti. Thank you. Sir, it's a wonderful speech, sir, what you have given today. It's just an enlightening speech. We are
Thank you.
getting more and more of historical characters. It's really very, very interesting. And I would like to quote one point here. In public administration, we used to read about the theory of motivation, where he talks about what are the criteria for motivation. But actually, it is already mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So the motivation that first initially we used to satisfy our basic needs, then we go for security, and finally we go for self-actualization. This is what given by the Western thinkers in recent days, but it is already given in Bhagavad Gita. Actually, now I came to know that it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Thanks for that wonderful insight, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And sir, we have started receiving questions in YouTube. Shall I start, sir?
Yeah, please.
There's a question, sir. You are not a medical professional. In spite of this, you are holding the top most position in healthcare organization. What is the secret behind this?
Okay, I should say I got a lucky break in Apollo hospitals. They wanted somebody to head their finance function, but finance and accounting typically, but when I started working, I realized that finance and accounting, if it is done in a silo, then it carried no meaning in our hospitals, and we had to participate in the journey of a patient. And when we looked at more and more patients who came in despair, but then when they got well, they walked out with happiness. It encouraged me to stay on and develop a more empathetic outlook to the job. And I think to work in a hospital, yes, if you're a doctor, great. But if you're not a doctor, you still have a place if you have empathy in your heart.
Wonderful, wonderful, sir. Mr. Coming here, Suresh, should I unmute?
Very good morning to all of you. And really, I was totally impressed by the way Shivaji spoke. I don't consider this as a speech, but it is full of sharing one's experience, lifestyle. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, full of sharing one's lifestyle, one's experience, one's way of life, I could say. See, nobody can motivate anyone unless one motivates his own self. You can only hear speeches like this. You can read good books, but it is beyond that to motivate one's own self. But I have a question for you. We are all sailing on the same boat. We don't have any difference between us. But what makes a change in one from others is a turning point. How you changed yourself? What made you the changes in you to have such kind of, to make yourself not for you, but for all?
Okay, I'll answer this question with an example. I think all of us, we are all children of God, and all of us have the qualities which the God has, for which we pray every day. Sometimes we go to a temple, church, a mosque, wherever we go and pray that we have those qualities which God has. So all of us have these qualities within us. But what we use regularly is the one that is important. In your kitchen, for example, you have, let's say you like sweet, you keep sugar, jaggery in the front, and then use that more often than pickles. The pickles tend to gets left behind. It's not used that much. It's not used as many times as you use sugar and jaggery. And over a period of time, the pickle itself, goes completely, it gets spoiled. If it's not used for a long time, it develops fungus and it gets spoiled. So similarly, the awareness that we are all equally gifted, that we have all the qualities that basically that awareness that we have everything that is required to live a very happy life. If that is in our awareness and we keep using that more often than not, then I guess you are a motivated and a cheerful soul. That's my answer to your question. There are no shortcuts here. You have to start using it and believing that you have all those qualities.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. There was a question in online, sir. In YouTube, there is a question. So you are talking about IQ and EQ. But nowadays, students are learning the IQ in schools and colleges. Even that also not properly imparted. And the EQ is very important for the career growth and for individual growth. But there was no focus on EQ nowadays in the curriculum. They give only focus on IQ itself. What is the solution for this?
I always felt, I got into spiritualism maybe pretty late in my career. When I was 30, 35, I started reading spiritual books and slowly kind of developed interest and started some deep dives into various kinds of philosophies, Eastern, Western, and Indian, all kinds of anything that came across, and I felt happy. I started reading about it. You are absolutely right. I think particularly for the medical profession, and particularly for all the aspiring and younger generation, I think we should we should have a semester where at least one paper is on developing EQ and imparting spiritual wisdom. And it's not religion. This is not religion. So this is not God. This is not a faith or anything that one should be afraid of. I think to speak the truth, there should be no problem at all. And spiritualism should be part of at least one paper about spiritualism, so that people start thinking this. Children start thinking that they can take this up. So I think collectively, if all of us can take this up, I'm sure we should be able to get it done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So one more question from our Zoom participant.
Yes. So first of all, it's amazing how you said humility is not thinking less of ourselves, but then to think of ourselves less. Can you please let us know how pertinent it is to strike the right balance between when it comes to humility and to self-value ourselves in the right amount, so as to put ourselves in the front place and to stand up for ourselves.
I think the answer probably was there when I spoke. I think when you don't take the credit for what has been achieved, I think we have found the right balance. Don't get very happy when somebody appreciates you, and don't just lose it when somebody criticizes you. In fact, Osho puts it in a very nice way. He says that be grateful to somebody who criticizes you, because he has found something. You've not done something right, so he's criticizing you. So be grateful to him. And when somebody appreciates you, don't take it to the thing that he is. Don't take it here. Don't take it here. I mean, just accept it and then leave it there. Let go. So be grateful. I think gratefulness is the scale that we need to use to balance out the criticism as well as the appreciation, and then yet stay humble.
Thank you so much, sir. And also as a follow-up question, being grateful as into life, to the surrounding that we've had, the cozy environment that we live in, and the privilege we have to use our to attend this meeting, for example. A lot of people will not even have gadgets to attend this. How much does that have to resonate in our lives, to be constantly grateful and that reflecting in our actions?
I think I think I referred to something called introspection early in the mornings, and those 10 minutes when you meet yourself, I think, that's when, you find answers to some of these questions that we come across. So that those 10-15 minutes in the morning, I'm not saying that you should sit for people. If you can do for a longer time, nothing like it. And you don't have to recite a mantra or chant something, but what you speak to yourself, I think, that's probably the way to realize that, how, how what God has created, and yet he is unseen. He doesn't he doesn't tell you that you should do this and you shouldn't do that. So I think it starts there. So when you do these morning introspections early in the mornings, I think we start getting more insights into this. I don't know whether I make sense, but I don't know whether I've answered your question, but probably, if it doesn't, maybe we can have an offline conversation on this after this.
We absolutely do, sir, actually. But then, yeah, the emphasis, I liked it. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question online, sir. People constantly say that the world has changed so negatively, but if it is true, how can so much good deeds keep on happening?
Okay, there is an interesting Chinese philosophy, yin and yang. I'm sure you all read about it or heard about it. And, evil, and there is nothing called good. There's nothing called evil. It is your own judgment of certain things, right? Yes, definitely. I'm not saying that somebody getting murdered for petty reasons is good. I'm not going there. But evil and good both exist side by side. The more the evil, the lesser the good. The bigger the when the good increases, the evil decreases. So it is a cycle. It's something. It exists. So we can't wish away that there won't be any evil. But there is an interesting thing, how you deal with evil. Yes, there is something, which is not okay. And, how do you deal with it? Yes, there are answers. And Lao Tzu says in one of his commentaries that give evil nothing to oppose and it will crumble by itself. And when you look at the Hindu, when we come to the Hindu philosophy and then talk about how you protect yourself from this thing is, we go back to karma theory, where when you are facing something because, you did this sometime in the past, you planted it. When you take responsibility for that, then, your response is far better when you come across evil the next time. So what karma theory suggests is that, okay, I mean, something is happening to you now, or you are seeing something which is unpleasant, which is not right. It's happening to you, it's coming your way. At least this time, your response should be of peace and forgiveness. And when you do that, the evil doesn't impact you. So protect yourself from evil. You cannot wish that, evil will not be there. Evil will be there as long as good is there. And if there is no evil, you will not know what is good. And if there is only good, you will not know what is evil.
Correct, sir. So one more question from Zoom participant.
Can you speak?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Rangan. Mr. Sivakumar Pattabhiraman. I'm 76. I'm very much fortunate that I tuned in today, having seen Murali's notification and your background. It is not only meant for the students whom you have addressed. It is meant for, to me, people of any age. Whatever you have spoken today and the way you have explained it with examples, real life, people we know, we have lived with them, Abdul Kalam and the gang. Very, very motivational. Thanks you. Somebody said emotional quotient. Along with emotional quotient, one other aspect also the next generation must take into account is the social quotient. How we can become relevant to the society. In what way we can give back to the society. And when we succeed, we are all happy. When we don't succeed, are you going to despair and destroy ourselves. And this is exactly what has happened in one of the cases few years before in United States of America. A Tamilian topper from the primary one, you can say, went to America, topper, reached the heights, and then during the economic recession, he lost his job. And he was trying to get an equally paying job, but he was not successful. And what he did, America, guns are available. He shot his mother-in-law, his wife, his children, and himself. Now, being a topper all through, he was unable to train himself to face difficulties and failures. So next generation, what they need to be addressing also, while I motivate, I want to succeed, I want to achieve something and then contribute to the society, you must keep the balance that you may fail sometimes, and how do you manage those failures successfully? Failures need to be addressed successfully. That is the main thing I thought I would share this small thing with you. And
thank you.
Thank you very much again for your very, very inspirational speech for the youngsters. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, one more question, sir, from online. An average student, when he completes his MS or equivalent in US, is considered to be very intelligent and gets good placement. What is the reason for this scenario?
What is a good placement? So may I ask you a counter question? So what is a good placement? Living away from your family, living away from your core values. Is it a good placement? I mean, I suppose that you're talking about somebody,
and maybe the good
an Indian who has gone abroad to study. I hope, I don't know whether that's what you're referring to. But and when so much is required to be done here, fine, I may not get that many dollars, but is it really a good placement? I know that several of my relatives do live abroad. But I had opportunities to go abroad many times, but somewhere I felt that you are happy in your own country, and definitely if you persevere, you can get a good placement here. So it's not that my life has been successful all along. I've had lots of failures, so I know I can understand what it actually means. I don't know. I mean, please, correct me. Yes, in terms of economic development,
I think in terms of
it's a much richer country. America is, the USA is far richer than us. So definitely somebody who's going to hold a similar position will earn a much higher amount. But whether earning money alone is good or whether achieving fame alone is good is what we need to think. Am I accessible to my parents when they need me most? I think, those things count.
Agreed. So one more question, sir. So before entering into pharma, in healthcare, you have been working in automobile, textile, and various finances, various sectors. So what are the unique best practices that you liked in those industries and also in the present healthcare?
Okay,
different sectors. So what are the unique practices which inspired you most?
I think I was on a learning curve when I was working in some of these industries, and when I worked in pharma, I thought IT was just kind of taking roots in the country. It was early 90s, 1990, 1989. So when IT was just taking roots, and I had the good fortune of working with a small software development company, and I could sense that where the industry would progress in course of time. And when 1995, when the internet came, I think it just kind of leapfrogged. I think it left all of us far behind. And by then I had settled down into a proper finance job. So I think, IT was one big thing, which I thought, would make a significant difference. And in my earlier jobs and before coming into healthcare. And when I was working in a non-banking finance company, which is the Times Guarantee Financials Limited, I understood the power of money. So what money can do if it is deployed properly. I was heading the treasury department there. Although for a short while, I mean, it was just about a year and 2 months or so. But I understood the power of money and the stress that you undergo managing a treasury department. So what are the things that you need to do to keep stress away? So, that's something that I learned in in Times Guarantee Financials Limited. And but when I came to healthcare, it was I think I learned to be more kind to people. I think that's the kindness is something that I learned. And I also learned that anything that has been given can be taken away. I mean, God has given us such a beautiful gift, and he can take it away anytime he likes. So be grounded. So I think that's something which I learned in my current job.
There was one more question in YouTube. I think we can connect this question to the previous question. So you have made various strides in various fields. You achieved so much success in your professional life. How did you ensure that it did not reach your head, the success?
I think I just answered it. I think anything that has been given can be taken away. So yes, I'm lucky. I should say that I've been lucky, and I thank God for everything that He has done for me. And I think that's about it. I think and tell myself that the other thing is, I think I don't want to get into a very spiritual discussion here. My spiritual mentor, Sister Shivani, and I also read Maharaj Nisa. I don't know if anyone of you have read Maharaj Nisargadatta's book, I Am That. And he says very nicely there that to know who you are, you should know who you are not. And then he says, this is not that this label is my name has been, it's in Markandeya Purana also, by the way. So the name has been foisted on me. This entire life, I mean, whatever the body, everything, body is perishable. The position that I have can be taken away by someone. So nothing is really mine. Whereas everything is mine, but nothing is really mine. I think, when we reinforce this thing into our daily life, I think, we become more kind, and we take life as it comes, and we enjoy that moment. So I think, that there is not, we understand who we are not. So it's something which stuck to my mind pretty early on.
We will become Karma Yogi.
Sorry?
We will become a Karma Yogi.
Yeah, Karma Yogi. Yes. And also the body is different from the soul. Yes. The soul is different. The soul is on a journey. So this in this life, it is this. In the previous life, I don't know what it was and what it will be in days to come or in the next life. So I believe in afterlife.
Balaji, let's have a last question. One last question.
Yeah. Okay. So young generations are not so serious about their future in this overwhelming competitive population. What do you think of coping up youngsters in the proper way?
I think, we need to give this to the younger generation that they don't. They have there are lots of things that are happening in their life. Like when I grew up, I didn't have a mobile phone till pretty late in my life. Today, these kids have a phone in their hand, and they have access to information. So, but it's just not access to information. I think they kind of wonder all about. I think they know what the world is. In fact, some of them know more than the doctors because they have read it in Google. So I think they have a great weapon in their hands. And today, what they are doing is they're just getting distracted. So they think that life begins and ends with the mobile phone. So I think that the one thing which we can possibly do is to see how we teach them that this is only a, as they call it, as a sadhan. It's only an equipment to help me, and not not the means of life. If this can be done pretty early, I mean, today, like a young kid, 3-year, 4-year-old kid, they start using phone. And, if this can be instilled by the parents saying that, use it when it is actually required to be used, that will be great. In fact, I have a friend who's an eminent chartered accountant. I'm sure some of you would have heard about a company called Brahmaya and Company. So when the mobile phones became a reality, he had probably one of the best phones at that time. And he said, I use it only when I need to get in touch with somebody, and I switch it off after that. So I think, the mobile phone is the biggest boon, but it is also the biggest curse. So I think, we should advise, and a lot of distractions, Netflix. We used to see Doordarshan one channel when we were probably 20 years old or something. But when I was 20 years old, we bought the first TV. But today we have 1,000 channels. So we need to live with it. So evil will be there. So, how do you balance it out, I think, is the question. So it's a huge responsibility on the parents. And I hope I'm sure they will wake up and do the needful. And programs like this, will certainly help in getting the message across.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So thank you for valuable answers for all the questions, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. Mr. Murli Subramaniam, thanks a lot. And I learned a lot during this discussion. The things, I wanted to say, lots of things came to my mind when I was talking, and probably at some point of time in future, I should be able to put those things also together and answer the questions, more convinced, in a much more elaborate and more clear way. I hope I'll be able to do that in my future discussions. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. And Lara, special thanks to you. I feel more humbled than before even I started this thing. Thank you so much, little Lara, for your beautiful introduction. Thank you so much.
We will have one more session, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Over to our team.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering all the questions patiently and precisely. We are sorry if we have missed any questions, and thank you, Balasubramaniam ji, for seamlessly moderating the question and answer session. Gratitude is the most important feeling that a man can possess, and thank you is a word that shows in-depth feeling of how grateful one feels. May I now request Mr. S.V. Dheeraj from Srirangam to present the vote of thanks. Dheeraj is a BCom and LLB graduate who has been working in various fields as a campus ambassador in International Model United Nations, as a content writer of All India Legal Forum, deputy manager of All India Legal Forum, and legal intern of Office of Senior Advocate Mrs. Nalini Chidambaram, Chennai. Yes, sir. Please propose the vote of thanks for this program.
Yeah, I was not able to unmute myself. And a small correction: I'm not an LLB graduate. I'm still a law student. So, yeah. Namaste and good afternoon to everyone present here, and to the Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Sivakumar sir and Indrani ma'am, ladies and gentlemen, and all my dear friends out here. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver this vote of thanks for this event to all the dignitaries present online through this platform of Zoom and YouTube. Yeah, with reverence and with the utmost gratitude, I owe my sincere gratitude to the Almighty God, due to His blessings and grace. This event has been concluded properly. On behalf of Pride Bharat, Aram IAS Academy, and Disha Bharat, Shiksha Sanskriti Utanyas, and also Mr. Murli Subramanian ji, I am honored to express my gratitude towards everyone who participated from various parts of the world and made this program a really great one. I would like to thank Shri Sivakumar ji for his erudite and inspiring speech. that he gave amidst his very tight schedule, I'm very sure. Thank you, sir, for those wonderful words and words of absolute wisdom. Your concepts of entering into the real world and growing very, very relatable and very much useful to all the students and professionals present here. Especially how you highlighted that bad days or like just small bad days are just better days to bad days are good days to make better days. And
Ruskin Bond.
How you emphasize on small changes that create a mammoth difference. Those are nothing short of enlightening. We would like to express our thanks to Dr. Indrani ma'am for her motivational talk as guest of honor. I would also like to appreciate all the persons who are involved in this program. Special thanks to Ms. Bhargavi Swaminathan, Ms. Gayatri Vishwanathan, and Mr. Srivatsan Bose and Tabla for their melodious prayer. Ms. Tejaswini for her fantastic Tirukkural in Tamil, Sanskrit, and in English. Ms. Harshita Mukundan for introducing the organizers. Ms. Srinidhi Ramesh for her welcome address. Ms. Lara Ashit Rao for nicely introducing our chief guest, and Mr. Balasubramani for moderating the questions very, very nicely. And Ms. Sai Krupa for the patriotic song that she gave. You were all very outstanding, and I just have respect for you. I also extend my thanks to Ms. Aarti Chandrasekhar for hosting the entire program so very beautifully. It was indeed very informative. In addition, thanks to Sivakumar ji once again for answering all the questions intellectually, and the wisdom was quite evident. Like it's just out there, like for us to this was a very great opportunity. We are immensely thankful to Shri Ravikumar ji, Chief Mentor of Try Bharat, for this wonderful initiative of counseling and inspiring young minds. We are also thankful to Shri Karthikeyan of Aram IAS Academy, Dr. Indrani ji, and Dr. Santosh of Shri Shiksha Sanskriti Udanyas, and Srimati Rekha Ramachandran for joining hands in this wonderful event, and with pride of Bharat Heritage in organizing this. Before I conclude, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to every single person who was a part of this program with their gracious presence and contribution. You all truly made this program a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Chi. Don't ask what the country can do for you, but rather ask what you can do for the country, was said by John F. Kennedy. Therefore, I invite Ms. Sai Kripa Delhi to render the Vande Mataram. Sai Kripa ji is a trained classical musician and has recently completed her class 12. She is trained both in Hindustani and Carnatic music and has been learning for more than 13 years. She is a versatile singer and has actively participated in numerous music competitions and programs. Let us all join Sai Kripa ji for Vande Mataram.
Namaskaram, Swanam. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujala, Sufala, Malaya Jitala, Shasya Shamala, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsna Pulakitayamini, Phula Kusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini, Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, कोटि कोटि कंठ कल कल निनाद कराले कोटि कोटि भुजे धृत खर करवाले अबला के न मात बले बहुबल धारिणी नमामि तारिणी रिपुदल वारिणी मातरं वन्दे मातरं तुमि वेद्या तुमि धर्म तुमि हृदि तुमि मर्म त्वं हि प्राणाः शरीरे बाहुते तुमि मा शक्ति हृदये तुमि मा तोमारे प्रतिमा गढ़ी मंदिरे मंदिरे वंदे मातरम् वंहि दुर्गा दश प्रहरण धारिणी कमला कमल दल विहारिणी वाणी विद्यादायिनी त्वां नमामि कमला अमलामतुला सुजलां सुफलां मातरं श्यामलां सरलां सुस्मितां भूषितां धरणीं भरणीं मातरं वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्
Thank you, Sai Kripaji. It was awesome and very peaceful. This marks the end of today's program. We thank all the participants for staying patient and cooperative throughout the meeting. We would also like to thank Pride of Bharat for having given us such a wonderful opportunity. So we officially sign off the meeting here and hope to meet you all with yet another interesting and fantastic program very soon. Thank you all once again.
Thank you very much. Balaji, we can close the recording.
Close recording and should we stop?